Once upon a time, there was a field of flowers.
No.
Seashells.
No.
Feathers.
No.
Tiny hands.
Yes. Tiny hands.
Clustered close, holding on to each other. Their arrangement seemed random at first glance, but it wasn't. Each tiny hand had a very specific placement, and they held each other tight, so none of them moved. Alone, these hands were insignificant. Together, they were overwhelming. Discombobulating, you would get dizzy if you looked for too long. And by too long, I mean more than a few seconds. Anyway, one day, a young girl came upon this field of tiny hands, and she thought to herself, my gosh, what beautiful flowers. I would like to pick some and make a bouquet. So she ran up to the field and reached down. Just reached down and grabbed, and to her shock, the flowers grabbed back. Startled, the girl looked down, and she saw hundreds of tiny fingers clutching her hand. And then the tiny hand started to pull. The girl attempted to yank her arm free, but she couldn't. She, alone, tiny hands are weak. They can't do anything. These particular hands were so small, they couldn't even pick up a thumbtack on their own. But together, they overpowered the girl. With their combined might, they dragged her down into their midst, overtaking her entire body. The girl disappeared into the field of tiny hands as they enveloped her arms, her neck, her chest, her stomach, her hips, her legs, her feet, and then finally, her head. They crawled in through her nose and ears and eyes and mouth, invading her from the outside in. And together, their tiny hands went methodically and precisely to tear the girl apart. Tiny piece by tiny piece, until she had been divided into pieces so small. The pieces had the recognizable shape of thorn. And the tiny hands molded the pieces of this girl like the pieces were made of clay. Turned each tiny shard of what was once a young girl into a new tiny hand. And the field got a little bigger, but nobody noticed and nobody cared. There is no moral to this story, no cautionary statement, no warning of some danger that exists in the world that you should avoid. Just tiny hands, and those foolish enough to grasp them.